Good evening, all members. I'd like to welcome you all to today's training. This training was postponed a while ago, but we're going to have it today by our facilitator, Dr. Wasike. So we'll allow a few more people to join, and then we'll start the session. Thank you so much for creating time to attend this training.
Good evening, everyone. Can I be heard?
Good evening. You can be heard loud and clear.
Yes, doctor, you are loud.
Thank you very much. I think we can start. The rest will join us and find us wherever we will be. I'm sent by my colleague, Ronald, who have been taking us through these topics to make an apology because he, under certain circumstances, he was not able to be with us last Friday. And he is also not, he may join us. Have not changed. He picked up from me at one time. I also became unable completely to facilitate any training, and he picked up. This is our second last topic on this area, so that we issue certificates and we pick up another topic. Yesterday we had lengthy meeting with our sponsors of CPSM, and they are restructuring the way we deal with this kind of training. They are looking forward to have more practical, more involvement, participant involvement technique, and soon one of them from chairman, who is an engineer, project manager, working in the universities in chairman, will pick up the topic tools of project management. She will facilitate the same for some time until it's over. She'll work with other team members, but for now we will continue with the pending topics, and after that we'll be able to um, to proceed. I'm being told that there is somebody who is saying he's not hearing me, or what does that mean?
Maybe it's network on his end. He can try logging out, logging in again, because for us, he can hear you loud and clearly.
Thank you very much. Let's give 1 minute for 2-3 people to join, and then we start right away without waiting anymore. Today we are discussing project procurement management. My name is Wasike Walubengo. And we will be able to, I'll be able to facilitate this on behalf of my colleague. We will discuss about agenda, the concept of the project procurement management. We'll discuss, among other steps in project procurement management and acquisition methodologies. Let us look at the concept of project management. Many people have defined projects differently, and reaching consensus on what is the proper definition of project management, it has been one of most elusive activity. Yes, Robert, you have something?
Sorry,
Robert,
no, Daktari, just continue. Sorry.
Thank you. Now, many people have defined projects based on characteristics of a project because it has become an elusive definition of a project. There is no concurrence from experts to give you a standard definition and an understanding of what is actually a project, unless it is related to characteristics of projects. And one of the reasons why this has been is because projects tend to adopt a unique face from each other. One project always differ from another project, and always differ from another project, whether these projects are in the same industry or under the same program. At time, we can say a program like education program may have different projects under that particular program, but when you take one project from one area to another area, you find that even the project environment affects the performance of that particular project. And it makes it difficult to copy paste a project and present the same results. So many people look at the projects as tasks to be completed within a set of time. Within a certain time, with a specific objective, when to start it and when to end it, that is specific time, and especially when this one is expected, what is expected out of it. So each project has its own goal, has its own objective to be achieved. And therefore you find that projects are unique from each other. We might be doing similar projects in education program or health program, but they are unique in the sense that we may be focusing on different goals and objectives. They are unique in the sense that time parameters might also be different. And therefore, project can be done by either a team of people, a group of people, or an individual. It is possible that an individual can plan, design, and execute a project to completion as one person, but complex and many big projects require a group of people. This group of people, they're called a project team, and the lead of that team is always called a project manager. When we talk about procurement, this is a process of acquisition of both goods and services and works. When we talk about works, we are discussing about construction projects like roads, buildings, bridges, among others. The process of acquiring these goods and services, it is what we refer basically as procurement. The word management is widely used in different concepts, and it is well understood that management is doing work through others to achieve efficiency and effectiveness. And some of the functions of management include maybe planning for a project activity. It also includes staffing, trying to understand who will carry out this activity. Does this person have the skill to execute this activity successfully? Organizing, trying to put resources together, trying to provide direction. We are here. Where are we supposed to go? When we start moving, which direction are we going? Controlling, trying to provide some parameters so that things There's no overrun in terms of resources, in terms of overrun in terms of time, overrun in terms of funds, over and above the budget. All this, that done, management is done to achieve and realize the project goals. As I had mentioned, each project has a call to be realized. And therefore, the element of management comes in to ensure that as we execute, we implement this project. The management aspect is going to help us ensure that we achieve the project goal. You'll find that even individuals, as individual manager, as individual procurement manager, as individual operations manager, as individual financial manager, have goals to achieve. And therefore, management also help the project realize the individual goals. When you look at it is part of management that help develop the society we live in. Many organizations, even countries, can manage economy, can manage even education, can manage health program. So management is almost like a project itself. What we do on daily basis, most of what we do are projects. It's only that sometimes we don't realize that we are carrying out a project as an individual. And the way we manage, just say, for example, somebody want to plans to travel from Nairobi to Kampala. You plan, when are you traveling? How many hours you schedule, how many hours you want to use on that activity of traveling, to determine which method or mode of transport you will employ. If you only have less than, let's say, 3 hours, you will choose to use the air instead of using a bus. If you have like 5 or 6 or 7 hours, you may choose to use the rail or even drive. So those amount of time you have to arrive from Nairobi to Kampala is going to help you plan the mode of transport. Is going to help you understand when to start traveling project and when to end this traveling project. It is unique in the sense that somebody who is using a flight will be actually moving from Nairobi to Kampala. Somebody who's self-driving will be actually moving from Nairobi to Kampala. Somebody who is using a pass will actually moving from Nairobi to Kampala. Or somebody may even decide to walk, even if it takes 10 years, or a cycle. They are all going to achieve the same objective. But you see, the implementation of those projects are unique from each other. They create different parameters. Therefore, today we are looking at what we intend to look at is project procurement management. Project procurement management. When we are carrying out a project, the example of moving from Nairobi, a simple project, to Kampala, you need to plan for it. As you design this project, on which mode of transport you'll be using, based on other factors, which includes the time constraint that you have. Therefore, you need to plan for this particular project. You find that projects have different requirements, and for you to realize this, you will require to define the items, the materials, to understand the requirements that will be needed in a project. This is very important. This is very, very important. The first step in project procurement planning, it requires, let's leave aside the travel project. Let's talk about building a 5-story trim house. And you have designed the house, it has been approved by the municipal council, city council, the physical planner. Now you need to look for quantity surveyor to be able to calculate for you the requirements. Somebody will tell you that we will start with the construction of the foundation. Now we need to define, to try and understand what are the requirements, what are the material requirements for constructing the foundation alone. We'll have different materials, we'll have sandy, we'll have cement, we'll have different planes. Let's say an engineer, let's say those will clear the bush. Once we are able to understand this requirement, the next stage is that these requirements need to be costed. We are still at the planning, procurement planning, project procurement planning. You have identified and listed all the requirements to construct the foundation of a 5-story building. Therefore, you now need to carry out research on pricing of each unit of materials. If it is cement, how many packs of cement are required? And what is the market price of each pack of cement? What will be the transport cost from the shop to the site? What are the quality perspective required or recommended by the engineer who is managing the construction of the foundation? Once you cost and have the prices of all the requirements, you now want to define the process of acquisition. Am I going to buy this from my friend, my neighbor, or how are these materials going to be available? And in this, you are able now to determine the source of this material. This must be planned for. In a project management, everything must be planned for. There's nothing that is done by accident. Where you will get these materials, you have to plan for it. You have to carry out the research as a project manager, understand where you are going to get cement, where you are going to get sandy, where you are going to get steel or metal, where you are going to get qualified people to work on the foundation. And therefore, that is going to determine the method of acquisition. Are you going to use quotations? Are you going to use open tender? Are you going to use restricted tenders? which method of acquisition is going to be recommended for this particular project. Once you have determined the method of acquisition as part of project procurement planning, the next stage is to schedule time frame for deliveries. I worked as a project manager on a particular construction project in Kenya, and I will not give details. That is my client. And my client, the project has not ended now, the last 3-4 years. And because my client told me she's actually a lady. She told me, I'm told people who do construction are not straightforward, and especially in materials management. They can easily mismanage material or diverge material or pay less, use the money, and tomorrow says the money was not enough. So she told me, you will be doing the rest, but the area of buying materials, that is my own money, my own project, my own role. And we signed a contract and agreed that the client have decided that the client will buy the materials. So as we were going to continue with the project, in the process, the client got some materials that were cheap because they were being disposed of by her friends who are disposing of some auctioning unused materials in their project. And the client invested 3/4 of the money in those materials. He bought the entire consignment and delivered the site. And when we opened the consignment, what she had bought and spent the money on was the roofing material. And that moment, we had started constructing the foundation. And we had to go up to 3rd floor of that particular building. And now we have the roofing materials, but the client does not have any more money to go beyond the foundation. She started struggling to get the little money she had. We finished the foundation. We started erecting the walls after the foundation, and that is where we are up to today. We have the materials, more than what we need actually for roofing. We have materials. Some of them are like colors, which are supposed to be purchased at the time of finishing the project, the building. But because the client did not have the idea that procurement plan materials are supposed to be scheduled based on time frame and deliveries done based on that particular schedules. She understood that materials, as long as they are construction materials, the materials that will go for the project. And the project did not continue for lack of money. Besides that, we have materials for finishing and roofing, but we don't have materials to reach that roofing and finishing stage. Therefore, procurement planning is an important ingredient in project management, that you need to schedule based on available resources. When is the materials for the foundation required? Therefore, when you are dealing with the foundation, it is the best practice to acquire materials of the foundation on need basis, not procure to store technique, but on need basis, user-oriented approach. And therefore, you find that you have planned for acquisition of all the materials. You have understand the specifications, the scope of work of all the materials. You have costed these materials. You have looked for money and the resources are available. You have defined even acquisition procedures. You will use quotations or purchasing method where you just go in a hardware and buy, pay cash, and materials are delivered. Then you need to schedule when will you buy materials for foundation, when will you buy materials for the second slab, first slab, or first floor and second floor, and roofing, and when will you buy the materials for. Therefore, schedule time frame will be able to punctuate material acquisition based on the need and progress of the project. Then the next stage is to actualize the procurement process. But as we continue trying to manage project procurement, there are certain tools that are applicable in and techniques that are applicable in project procurement management. This process of project management is scientific, and therefore there are tools that have been developed, designed to manage project procurement process. One of the tools is making a decision as a project manager on make or buy decision. For such a decision to be realized, you need to carry out an analysis on benefits to make and benefits to buy. You look at the disadvantages to produce locally materials yourself or to buy materials to be used in the project. This is a key decision that project managers need to employ by analyzing various data to help choose the best alternative and make the right decision. Another tool is project management plan. Project management plan, it is what actually we have just discussed. When you look at this process is leading to a document we call project management, project procurement plan. This plan is a document of reference. It guides the process of acquisition for both goods, services, and works materials. Another tool is employing market surveys, what we call market research, that help you to identify the sources and supplier identification. Supplier identification is a process that requires time investment to make right decision, because we have projects that end up failing because of identifying a wrong supplier. A supplier that does not deliver on time, a supplier that gives excuses instead of delivering, a supplier that delivers earlier than the expected time. When we talk about in-time delivery, on-time delivery, and after-time delivery. So proper research and evaluation and examination being done to potential suppliers in form of trying to assess their capacity, their reputation, their experience in managing material supply to such a project determines part of this project success. Because suppliers as partners of the project play crucial role in project sustainability and continuity. In a situation where a supplier does not pick calls when you need material to proceed, it means that the project has to stop. It means that you will have idle labor. It means that you will have time overrun in the project because the supplier did not deliver the materials on time. And the project could not continue because simply there's no cement. And you can't construct without a cement. And you are not able to move to construct to the next stage because you have to finish this stage level of construction before you go to another level of construction. And therefore having the right tool to identify the right project source of materials or supplier is an important tool in managing project procurement. Another tool is the statement of work. It will have all the requirements of what the work entails, schedules, and will also have specifications of scope of work and deliverables expected on that project of 5-story building. The statement of work will also have the schedules when these materials are expected. Because that statement of work, it also includes a procurement plan of the project. You can employ some other tools like request for proposal or request for quotation, which are common in the market, so that people compete among themselves on what the quantities, price, quality, the parameters that are set in that, which is important. You can also have source selection criteria, which is more close to market survey. When you are carrying out market survey, it helps you to identify where you will get materials. But you can get different 5 suppliers, all of them, they are suppliers of sandy. Now, you need to have a criteria, source selection criteria, that will sieve among the 5 who looks like is the best fit for the project source of materials. And this criteria can be trying to coming up with the requirements that the 5 need to respond to. One of the requirements can be trying to assess the capacity of the source or the suppliers by asking an audited financial statement for the last 3 years to be able to assess the cash flow. Does this person have capital to run, to supply materials, or is one person who will demand money and risk the project? Sometimes you pay the deposit and is not able to supply again. You can be able to even demand to find a recommendation from certified clients as a criteria as a project manager. And therefore you are able to get these recommendations and you make the second verification process by reaching this particular recommender in confidential to even examine whether this supplier did similar work or is just a recommendation that was forged or does not really present the kind of experience of a supplier we are looking for as a project. Because sometimes we can get a recommendation saying, yes, we worked with this person, but we worked in a different area, in different projects, that does not really present similar experience we are looking for. You give a supplier an LPO to supply sand and asks you what type of sand, because he lacks experience in construction. You also need to look at another tool is a contract type. And these are tools that help manage project procurement. There are different types of contract. One is a fixed price contract. These are type of contracts that we commonly have in projects where you agree on a price that we are constructing a 5-story building. We want to give you this. It will take 12 months to finish. You'll be supplying cement at this much. From the time the construction starts to the time the construction ends, and the price shall not be changed. Then you agree as part of the terms and condition, and you are able to sign that agreement, and you are able to now expect the supplier to execute part of the contract. Cost reimbursable, these are projects like what Tuluo was doing in trying to research for oil in Kenya. Trying to research for oil in Kenya, you are going to explore the possibility of getting oil where you are drilling. And in most cases, such companies enter into contract with the government that if we get this particular oil, then as we will recoup back our costs. But there is a contract signed that whether we get or we doesn't get, the cost should be reimbursed by the government so that we are put back to our original position to continue exploring and searching for more oil within the country. Time and material contracts, it is mostly used in consultants firms where timesheets determine time spent on that particular work and any materials used by the consultants, so that they are paid based on the material used and time consumed on a project. There is also provision for contract negotiation as part of tools to strike a consensus in a win-win scenario so that the suppliers are motivated to supply to the contract and to the project, and the project management does not feel weighed as if they are overcharged or overpriced. Terms and conditions are also negotiated, like who will deliver, when to deliver, how is payment going to be done? Is it cash on delivery, or there is a credit period of 90 days, 60 days, 30 days, or 2 weeks? All these parameters are negotiated as part of techniques to manage project procurement. The actual procurement management process, it have several steps, and we have talked about some of these steps when we were talking about procurement planning, which is identifying needs that require procurement department to be engaged on, and these needs require acquisition process, even including make or buy decisions. Procurement will help to provide information on where to buy if we are not making. Another step is looking at source identification. When you are designing a project and planning for a project, before you start implementing any project, you cannot start. I was once working in a place called Turkana County, and it's a desert. And getting water is a huge challenge. And even the locals, they have designed ways of building houses without necessarily looking for water, because identifying the source of water is a big challenge. And therefore, if you want to build a permanent structure, the most challenge is you must first of all identify how you are going to get water for the construction before you proceed. Once you identify the sources, you are able to select the vendors. Vendors are just suppliers, and we have discussed that in the previous slides. You are able to negotiate terms and conditions. Somebody can be in Kitale, which is almost 500 kilometers. That is where water is, and tell you, I'm selling water as it is, where it is, as part of my terms and condition. And you can't deposit money there, and then you start wondering, how will this water move from Kitale to Pastolotwa? It becomes another challenge. And how are you going to manage costs? So you need to negotiate on terms and conditions of delivery for a project success. There is contract, we have talked about it. What we didn't talk about is contract management. We have talked about different types of contracts, but we didn't talk about contract management. Once you have signed a contract as a project manager, then there's a need to come up with a committee which involves the vendors team and your team to monitor the contract implementation, to ensure that there is proper contract implementation for the success of the project. Where there is no proper contract implementation, the project may suffer from the right flow, right speed, and right progress, and that will mostly stagnate the project without understanding, especially what will be causing this. And this contract management, for example, we can agree with suppliers like every first day of the month, every first day of the month, the lights, every first day of the month, we require a delivery to be made. And then the supplier starts delivering third and fourth days of the month. That supplier will be not only breaking the contract terms, but also creating a stock out in the project. And the cost of stock out is huge. Now, we have planned for this acquisition process. We have determined different materials we are going to acquire. We have scheduled them. We want to look at different methods we can employ in managing project procurement. And one of these is outsourcing. Outsourcing is the process of handing over certain task or certain activity to a professional to be done at a fee. Let's say CBSM, Community Breakthrough Support Mission, is an NGO. And one of its objectives is to build community capacity. It does not have objective, it is not existing to clean its offices or compound. It is not existing to provide security to itself. And so maybe they lack expertise. And therefore, outsourcing is a method that will help a project hand over to professionals to carry out non-core activities so that the project is able to focus on core activities of why it exists. And for example, we have professional cleaning companies in different countries. Instead of a project employing cleaners and struggling to manage cleaners, supervising them, they acquire services through outsourcing process to a professional firm, and then the firm comes in with trained cleaners, well insured, well equipped, and they are given assignment on where to clean and what is the expectation, and generate records of the cleaning activities within the compound. That is a procurement method that helps a project focus on key and core activities why that project exists. Green procurement is a process of acquiring goods from suppliers who only comply with environmental laws and requirements, who respect the environment the project is operating in. And how can these suppliers appreciate the environment? You find today we have most products that are using recycled materials, products that respect children. They are not produced by children, underage people, or forced labor. Suppliers who do not discriminate women against men or disabled people or people living with a disability. These are suppliers who are who are friendly to the environment, and therefore there are suppliers who are promoting what we call green procurement. So green procurement is going a further step of assessing the compliance of suppliers or sources of materials in line with the environment. Project can also employ procurement method called group sourcing. Group sourcing, this is a, a method of procurement where different projects in the same locality can come together. They are looking to import, let's say, computers from Japan or wherever it is. And one project wants 100 computers. Another project wants 300 computers. Another project wants 400 computers. They want to use a container. If the cost of one container is the same, whether it is full or it is not full. And if they come together and they all import computers, it might be different specifications, but they're pulling their resources together so that they fill the container and pay for one container. They share the cost of one container, they share the cost of transport, they share the cost of insurance, and now that cost distributed among 5 projects, it becomes cheaper. And this is one of the techniques most projects, especially small projects, employ. Projects that do not have enough capacity. They pull together their resources to acquire for common call in order to acquire a particular goods and services as one team. It's called group sourcing. Public-private partnership, PPP, is a common terminology in most projects today. And in Kenya, we are today talking about it commonly. And I've seen the importance of public-private partnership. For example, we used to have serious traffic issues on Mombasa Road. Several times, personally, I've missed a flight going to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport because of traffic. You can't predict what time you will arrive there. But one time, the Kenya government partnered with a China corporation to build a road leading to the airport, which as residents, because this corporation invested their own money, they will recover that money from road users for a period of time. Once they have recovered the cost and their profits, then they hand over the project back to the Kenya government and we use it. This is where the private sector comes together with a government of a country to acquire a particular or realize a common goal in a project. Another example today, we have affordable houses in Kenya. The Kenya government is building so many of them. The Kenya government have land, but there are some private investors who doesn't have land. They have money, they want to build the houses, but they don't have land. So Kenya government have partnered with this private and this to acquire a common goal, the housing, affordable housing. Is also acquiring a process of acquisition. And now they are building houses and selling to Kenyans at a lower prices. We have another method called e-procurement or e-purchasing, and this is what we are referring today as platform economy. Platform economy is an economy that have cropped up away from the normal market economy we understand, where we are advertising things on a television, newspapers, and platform economy has actually driven away newspaper adverts. They have changed the thinking of doing business. Platform economy is transacting through apps, buying and selling online, transacting through different apps like Amazon is part of e-procurement and e-purchasing. We have different models of platform economy. We have business to business, where the example Zoya Sugar Company, not Zoya Sugar Company, business to business relationship in project is that a project is producing on large scale. They enter into contract with distributors called wholesalers. So wholesalers, they buy not to consume, but they buy to resell to retailers. Then we have business to consumers. This is a form of procurement where retailers, they buy, but they buy not to sell to another business, but they buy to sell to consumers. It's called P2C. There is P2G, where business sell to government. Let's talk about Gakira sugar factory between Ikanga and Chinja, or Nzoia sugar factory in Bungoma County in Kenya. These are government factories, sugar factories. But you find that they have contracted, sorry for that, they have contracted farmers who are doing business, who are producing sugarcane to sell to a government factory. Then the government factory is producing sugarcane, sugar in large quantity to sell to wholesalers. And wholesalers sell to retailers. And retailers sell to consumers. There is a situation where we call consumer to consumer. This today common because of platform economy. A few months ago, there was a lot, Nairobi was very cold. And while I was surfing on Facebook, somebody just said, I'm selling the room heaters. And I text that person, how much? Can it be delivered to my, and why are you selling? He said, no. I've been living in Kenya, I'm a foreigner, but I'm now leaving the country. I've been posted somewhere else, and I'm disposing what I have. This person has been a consumer of this particular product, but he is now selling to another consumer as a used product. There's what we call P to E, that is business to employees. It is very common in the banking industry. Assume you are running a project as a banker. Whatever bank that you are running, there are so many banks, and you are the project manager in that bank. So at the end of the month, in the economy you are operating in, there are so many banks which are competing you. So at the end of the month, when you ask employees to bring accounts so that they are paid, they bring accounts from different banks, your competitors, so that you send salaries of your own employee to your competitors' banks. It becomes a challenge. And therefore, most banks have arranged that employees are at the same time the customers, where you employ somebody and open an account internally for him, So when you are paying salaries, you directly pay in an account of one of the branches of the same bank. This is very common in banking industry. It is also common in insurance industry. You cannot be paying, you have employed somebody who is selling insurance products, let's say for education, is going around selling education product, asking people to insure their children with this particular insurance company. But her own children are insured by another competitor insurance. That brings conflict of interest in business environment. We have government to business model. Government to business model is a model where Nzoia Sugar Company, which is a government factory, producing sugar in large quantities and selling to wholesalers who will distribute to wholesalers are private entities who will distribute and break the bulk to the retailers, and the retailers sell directly to consumers. As I wind up, let us look at tendering procedures. There are different tendering methods, and I'm happy that we mentioned these methods in one of the slides, but that does not matter. There are different tendering methods. A project can employ open tender method to manage its procurement processes. Open tender method, this is where a project manager decides to advertise tenders nationally or internationally so that potential interested bidders can apply and respond to the requirements in a competitive manner. There is request for proposal, and especially in consultants situation where the project can acquire services of consultants by asking them to propose on how they are going to carry out a particular activities. There is two-stage tendering process. This two-stage tendering process is used where there are two envelopes. The project advertises a tender to seek the first stage where they are looking at the mandatory requirements of the tenderers, looking at the technical requirements of tenderers, how the tenderers have met their proposal methodology on how they are going to handle the assignment. And then when the tenderers who have passed these stages, they're the one now whose the second envelope that contains the price or the financial evaluation is going to be opened in the presence of the tenderer. Different countries with different projects have different procurement laws, and these laws are applicable differently depending on the local laws in that particular country where the project is being implemented. Request for quotation is where you give 2-3 people who are for common user items, things that are available in the market. They compete in terms of price and quality, and you are able to choose or select one. There is what we call selective tendering method, where you prefer to deal with locals, people next to the project, for example, as a criteria to buy in their support to the project. And you can say, for example, you only want water from a particular company, especially drinking water. I've seen many people very selective.
Rwenzori in Uganda.
It is called what?
Renzori in Uganda, the best.
Is the best. Now, when you go that direction, you are able to, you are employing what we call selective tendering. And once you have acquired goods, we started from planning the project, the procurement process, selecting suppliers, that is the sources, scheduling when to buy. We have looked at tools to manage this. We have looked at steps. We have looked at different methods of acquiring goods and services. We now look to, you have materials. In our example of constructing, let's say, constructing the foundation of a 5-story building, materials has been brought, sand has been offloaded from the lorries, and sometimes children are trying, it creates some mountains, some hills, and children are playing on that sand. Whatever that has been acquired through procurement process, it needs to be managed. That management, it includes storage. That storage is what we refer to inventory management. And there are different techniques to employ in a project to manage different materials. One of them is economic order quantity. This is a technique employed in projects where you can only buy amount or quantities or tonnage that are economically viable. Allow me ask you a question. I think now we have the concept. When we were doing the project, the contracted project that I was given to supervise, but eventually it is still pending 3 years down the line because the owner took up the role of buying materials. And when she took up the role of buying materials, she actually did not eat money. She bought more than what we need, but she bought all the roofing materials and finishing materials because a friend offered to sell to her what had remained in their project. In terms of economic order quantity, who can explain to us the errors that led it to fail the project? Who can
Doctor,
explain
I may try.
Trying is part of learning.
Yes, the lady really didn't consider what is just sufficient for the project. She considered the other end of the other person is disposing of, but not looking at what to deliver for this project in terms of exactly what is only required for the project to get completed. So that was already a mess.
Perfect. That's a very good explanation. Yes, Maurice, do you have something to add?
Yes,
Maurice
I
Muchel?
think she could have involved you would have involved the other parties when she was doing that, so that they get just the right kind of material that is needed to finish it, to do the work. She could not
Thank
have
you very
just
much.
gone like that without involving the expertise.
And that is why procurement process, you also need to involve stakeholders. Robert Chuma, do you have something to add?
Yes, Dr. And now, the most important thing, in any given project, as a project manager, all the mandates have to be delegated to you by the project owner. The project owner must surrender the mandates to the project manager so that you are the person to drive everything on board. The moment I, as the project owner, tries to interfere, everything will go wrong. And this is where the project owner went wrong in everything, and that is why the project has stalled up to date?
Perfect explanation. You need to surrender your mandate to an expert. When we are talking about managing procurement through outsourcing, once you have signed a contract with a professional cleaning company, then you are expecting a professional cleaning services within the project. And that stage, you are not expected to start wasting time looking where has been cleaned and where has not been cleaned. That's not your responsibility anymore. Thank you very much. There is what we refer to as minimum order quantity. And I want to give an example. What is the name of this sugar factory between Ikanga and Chinja?
Kakira.
Those of us, Gagira. Now, Gagira Sugar Factory have a policy that it does not sell 1 kg. It does not sell 2 kg. It sells a minimum of 100 tons, which can be approximately 200 packs of sugar. And now they are selling in bulk. And many factories, they have that policy, and that is done to stabilize what we call the price within the economy. So there is what we call recommended price for wholesalers and recommended price for retailers. And to do that, a retailer cannot sneak and come to buy from the wholesalers, from the manufacturers, Rakila or Kakira Sugar Factory. Why? Because Kakira Sugar Factory has put minimum order quantity to be 100 packs. You'll find that a retailer who's a shopkeeper near your home may not have enough even storage facility to keep 100 packs. And that has been designed as a business model, as a procurement model. And therefore, minimum order quantity is the quantity amount of sugar Gakira Sugar Factory is able to sell as minimum. The maximum is limitless. We have other techniques like APC analysis, just in time. Because of time, I want us to rush through so that we start engaging, because every slide we have to go through questions. The sponsors of this program are really on basket one to make this practical and involving, because they don't want to have a lecture kind of approach. There is just in time where goods are delivered when they are needed. There's no storage. Safety stock, that is what we call buffer stock. When you reach, the quantities reach a reorder level, as the reorder level triggers another procurement process, safety stock is remaining to continue to sustain the operation of the project. FIFO and LIFO are different methods of issuing goods from the store. FIFO means first in, first out. Goods that were delivered first. The sand that was delivered on the site first should be consumed. Once it is over, then you go to the next one that followed it. LIFO means last in, first out. And LIFO is a technique used on things like timber, on things like wine. Because why? The materials like timber, the more they stay, the more the value increases. They don't deteriorate. Things like wine, those people who take alcohol, there's a name we use. Which name do we use? This, forget about Tasca, there's these brands we use like Black Label. What is the common name we use? Any response? What is the common name we use? Those brands, you can, yes, Kanenge, Rukia?
Harold, I'm saying Muzinga.
Muzinga. Thank you very much, Rukia. We call them Muzinga. And I go to pubs a lot myself. Although, yes, I have not received the grace of God to start drinking, but I engage myself with friends, network in clubs.
Doctor, don't
That there
drink.
are some
Dangerous.
I don't drink, but I go there with different objective. Now, when you reach there, you'll find that there is a 15-year-old Musinga, there is 18-year-old Musinga, there is a 30-year-old Musinga. The price of Musinga depends on the number of years of brewing. 30-year Musinga is very expensive compared to 15 years Musinga, compared to 10 years Musinga. Yes, Maurice.
Yes, I wanted to contribute on that. That like wines and spirits, the moment that they come in, the longer they stay, the more expensive they become.
Perfect.
Yes, even when they are charging at the customs, that's what they do. They weigh out to see how this particular brand, if it has stayed for long.
That is a very good contribution, Maurice. The wines and spirits, the more they live on earth, the more the value increases. And therefore, even the more the price. I asked a friend of mine, I called Peter, I'll not say another name because Peter is common. And he told me the more the number of years, the more fine the liquor is. And therefore it increases the value. And when you are in the store, you have acquired goods as a method. You need to use lever, last in, fast out. Reorder level or reorder point formula is you have your consumption rate. Morris, kindly mute.
Yes.
Mute.
Yes,
Time
please.
is over. I'm waiting for you to mute. Thank you. Reorder levels, these are levels where the consumption rate have reached, and it triggers the procurement process. It is called reorder point formula, which the remaining stock in the store, when you are starting to procure, it is called safety stock or buffer stock. Patch tracking, consignment in inventory, perpetual inventory management, dropping shipping and lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, all these are different methods and techniques to be employed in storing goods that have been acquired in the project. I want us to go back to where we started, and I just want kindly a few minutes, and I will be done with this. I don't know what is happening. I don't know why I'm not seeing this. Okay. We have talked about project and procurement. Who can give us one example of a project in a household? I want us to see whether we have understood the project. What is a project? One example of a project in a household. Robert, we will participate, all of us, don't mind. Robert Chuma.
Yes, Dr.
Do you know, can you give us an example of a project in a household?
I would say when you are planning to construct a house.
Planning to construct a house. Perfect.
Yes.
Aha. Yes, Phyllis? Phyllis?
When you're preparing a meal like ugali or chapati.
Yes. When you are preparing dinner or lunch or breakfast, when you start preparing what you want people to eat dinner in your house, you are able to determine how many members of your family will attend that dinner. When you, what do you want to achieve? What are the resources? When are you starting to prepare dinner? That is a complete project. Can marriage be a project?
Yes.
Yes, Diana.
Yes, it can be.
No, that one you will have to debate, Daktari. Marriage cannot be a project because it does not have the aspect of time bound.
It has.
So
It does. It
no,
does.
no,
Let,
it
us hear.
goes forever.
Let's hear from firstborn princess first. Let's hear from firstborn princess.
Okay, my argument or my opinion is the marriage has got it's a project on its own because it starts with no like relation or maybe introduction, relationship, dating, courting, then wedding, then the marriage itself. So personally, I think it's a project on its own.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from Mary Mbochi. Mary?
I also agree with her, but for me, I say it can be a project if, for instance, you are planning for a wedding, because the wedding itself is a project, whereby you have to plan how many people will attend the wedding, what kind of activities are involved in that wedding, what is the budget for the wedding. It is an activity, so it's a project that will happen. It has a timeline because it is time bound. It is a specific activity that will happen. So it can be a project.
It's going to be a project.
Yes.
Let's go back to Robert, who had a different contrary opinion. Robert,
Yes, Daktari.
why do you think it is not a project?
Number one,
Mhm.
a project it is time bound.
Perfect. Yes.
So when we talk of a project as a marriage as a project, then we need to look into it, which part will look like a project. Like now when she's talking of a wedding, that one is a project because it is time bound. But now when you enter into marriage, this one is a lifelong thing until death do us part. So, you cannot predict what is going to come along the way. And you cannot say that this one is a project. It's like a business plan. It has got no end. It will go forever. But a project must be within time, and you have to keep within the specifics, Daktari. That is my argument.
Let me ask you, engineer.
Yes.
You plan to marry
Yes.
in December.
Yes.
1st of December, your wedding.
Yes.
Then you say, there is a statement people say that until
Death do us part.
do us part.
Yes.
When you are planning for a project, you plan when to start it and when to end it.
Yes.
Now, when you are marrying on 1st of December, and you are planning the end by saying the end will come when death do us part. Now, is that not time frame?
That one, that time frame is indefinite, Daktari. Quite indefinite.
Quite indefinite, like a program, because
Yes.
in Uganda, there has been education program since the time education started in Uganda. But
Yes.
there are several projects that have been coming and going. So can we call a marriage a program or a project?
That one is a program. It's not a project. We should not use that word project. But when the include ladies here who are saying it's a project that they are talking of the waiting. That one is okay. I agree, because that one we are planning for 6 months. Marriage is done. We are marrying. So we look into in between the 6 months. Fine. If it is 1 year or 2 years, that's fine. But when we now enter into the house, we start living. That one becomes indefinite, and something indefinite is not a project.
Engineer,
yes.
engineer,
Yes.
there is element of project management. Have you seen or heard of marriages failing and projects failing? People
Yes.
divorcing?
Yes, they do. And now,
Uh-huh.
Doctor, let me take you back to the project where you are the project manager.
Yes.
When you started that project, what was the time? Was it 1 year or 2 years?
It was 12 months.
12 months, that's 1 year.
Yes.
But the project failed.
It has not completed up to today.
It failed. So now, that one, when now you start it again, you have to plan for it again. And
yes, circumstances have changed.
Things have changed because the cost has gone up. There are things the parameter will not remain the same. So in marriage, you are prepared whatever that comes, because you are in there. It does not matter whether things will go up, will go down, whether sickness will come, because that one, you have not budgeted. There's no cost. There's no cost element in marriage. That's one.
But marriage is also managed by parties.
Yes.
Parties who are contracted. When you sign marriage certificate, that is a contract.
Yeah, it is.
And there is a part you are supposed to play. So marriage is also managed, and it can fail. And people go and sign a divorce certificate.
Dr. If we go that way, we talk of a contract, because a contract will have a start date and an end date. And now marriage, we have 3 types of marriage. That's what I understand. We have a covenanted marriage, we have a contract marriage, and then we have a convoy marriage.
Let's hear from Mary, and we conclude on that. Mary, do you have something to add? Mary?
Thank you, Daktari. I think it can be a very hot debate, but for me, I somehow agree with Morris, what he's saying, that marriage is not really like a project, although somehow marriage is, it's a debate you can do, because you still have to work on it. You still have to keep on adjusting several things depending on the way the economy is. Also, as you grow together, there are things you have to keep on changing and all that. However, for me, I was talking about the wedding. The wedding, I think, is a project because it is time bound. It has also to have the element of procurement, as we were talking about. It has several things that is constructing a house. The way you sit down and you plan, even for the wedding, the people you are sourcing out, the time bound you are talking about, the money, that is the budget that we are talking about, the group of people. You said a project mostly is done by a group of people or yourself, it has several elements. So for me, a wedding, I would call it a project, and it is done until it is successful and completed. And also, like the project you are doing, it can be unsuccessful. Already the last day, or the man can say, I don't see this headed somewhere. But anyway, on the other hand, marriage, I would say it's not really a project itself because of the timeline we are talking about. Thank you, Dr.
Because of time, let us go and research on that and carry out a thorough research and have an understanding to understand where we stand as a project, as a marriage.
Yeah, I think the next lesson we should have gotten we will have to look at the nitty-gritties of a project, and then from there we will give the way forward. We will discuss and at least get somewhere.
Any question That is correct, engineer. Any question in
Daktari, I wanted
project?
to ask you a question.
Yes.
On the methods of procurement, methods of tendering, methods, tendering methods.
Kindly keep there because we are going there. We are going slide by slide. We are coming there.
Oh, okay.
Any question on this, or it is well understood?
Doctor, I have a question.
Yes.
There is somewhere you talked about an example. Just gave us an example about maybe let me say cleaning the cleaning whatever that you told us that
Yes.
you should not need to go back to maybe to confirm if this has been done or not because the management the project has decided to bring in the more qualified and professional cleaners to do the work. And
Mm-hmm.
also when I put it in the aspect of marriage, okay, now like I'll put the examples, then I'll come to my real question. So like in marriage, sometimes you don't marry a qualified woman or a man. Sometimes maybe when you marry, that's when you start experiencing, oh, this person was not complete in one way or the other. Maybe he needs or she needs to go to marital counseling, so and so on, and other things that should be learned in the process as life goes on. So
Yes.
my question comes in, like for instance, you are carrying out a project, then the company has decided not to outsource, rather, or not to have this group of people, rather to hire a certain group of people so that maybe they fill in the capacity. So does it mean that there will be no performance appraisal, job evaluation, because now you have hired them, those the qualified team or crew?
Yes. In a project and also in procurement,
Mm.
uh, there is what we call feedback. When you have hired a cleaning service, let's say at basket one, uh, the office users and other stakeholders who faced basket one, there is a suggestion box, there is feedback they will give whether the environment is clean or not. Secondly, you find that there is a criteria of reporting on the level of services being provided from that particular company, which is part of support documents for the invoice at the end of the month. For example, I work in an office where in the toilets where basket one is located, when you go in the washrooms, there is where a cleaner is coming to sign that is visiting that toilet to clean every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes. And you see the way time is, and there is no day I've used that washroom and found that it's not clean. So there is system that is designed to actually counter check and generate reports for outsourcing. Outsourcing, the purpose of outsourcing is that you have handed over. It's just like you, let's say, God forbid, I'm sick and I need an operation. And I need an operation, and we hire an expert physician to operate on me. What role will my family do? They have outsourced the services to an expert. And the only expectation is that the services are done professionally and they're done satisfactorily. So that is what we expect in outsourcing processes. A project can even outsource an operation. Forget about just materials. Can outsource an operation. For example, a project can outsource construction of the foundation to an engineering firm at a fee. So they sign the contract and say, please, in 2 months, hand over the fully completed foundation for this uh, stage, for this project. Thank you. Because of time, let's run. Any question on project planning tools, techniques to manage project procurement? Is it satisfactory? Any question in steps in procurement management process?
Yes. I have a question on reorder point formula. Reorder point formula at the end when you are almost concluding.
Okay.
Keep it. The process employed to reorder.
Keep it. I'm coming there.
Thank you.
Any question here? Any question on the methods? Somebody was asking a question on methods.
Yes, Doctor. Now, here, there is that we call direct tendering. Does it belong here? Especially like places whereby, let's say in the military, they want to procure. Which method of tendering do they use?
When we list methods of tendering, we will have like 30 slides. These are just examples commonly used in project, but you find that military use what we call single sourcing. Single sourcing is a method where you can use it in emergency or to keep secrecy. You don't want other people to know what you are buying, so you have a contract with a specific person. So you directly buy from that person what we refer to as single sourcing. There are so many other methods like barter trade, where we exchange goods on goods. We don't use any currency. There are so many other methods. Yes.
Okay. Was primarily meeting kidogo hope.
Any question here? Where is Muchele? This was our last one. Morris, you are asking a question here?
Yes, I asked a question on reorder, the process employed to reorder.
That is a very good question, Morris. Now, mute so that I can explain. Mute so that I can explain. Now, when it comes to reorder levels are determined based on consumption. Let us say basket one consulting and advisory limited consume 1,200 pyropens per year. Then how many pyropens they consume per month? Please, any response? They consume 1,200 pyropens per year, basket one consulting and advisory limited. How many pyropens will they consume in 1 month? Any trial?
100?
40. First
100.
Yes. Let's hear
100 pyropens. 100 pyropens.
100, not 40, sorry.
Okay, that's 100. Good. Now, the consumption rate of basket one consuming pyropens per month, they spend 100 pyropens. And therefore, we bought pyropens 1,200 to be consumed within 12 months. And we stored these pyropens in that project. Now, there is a time we need to calculate what we call lead time. Lead time is that period from when the need arises to when that need arises to buy, to purchase, and when that need is satisfied. The period from the time the need arose to buy and that time the need was satisfied is called lead time. Now, lead time, if it is 5 days, or let's say 2 months, now you use 2 months, which will be, if we say we bought these things in January, we bought 1,000, or in December 1,200, In January, it was consumed. It remained 11. In February, it remained 10. We continue like that. Now, when we reach in September, we will have remained with 300. And we say we are importing these pyropens from Uganda, and our lead time, it takes 2 months. Now, we use the lead time and consumption rates to determine, to calculate what we call reorder levels. So in the store, reorder levels are calculated when you use lead time, economical order quantities, amount, and the consumption rates. When you employ a model of formula, you will get when you are supposed to buy and how many you are supposed to buy. Now, let's assume that the basket one have used these pyropens up to September of that year. Now, how many will be remaining in the store? Any trial, Chuma, how many will be remaining in the store by end of September?
We shall by September or December.
September.
We shall have remained with, because you have said that in September we have 300.
No, in September.
Yes.
From January, we have been consuming 100. Now we are at the end of September.
Yes.
Then we have October, November, December. Each is allocated to 100. That will be 300 in the store, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Now that 300 in the store is what we call is what we call safety stock. You see this,
Yes.
what we call safety stock.
Yes, yes.
It is what we call safety inventory or safety stock. Another name of safety stock is called buffer stock. It cushions the consumption to continue as we procure.
Yes.
Now that 300, once 300 is reached, it triggers what we call purchasing procurement processes. And now once 300 it is reached, that is the reorder level, is what we call reorder level. It informs the storekeeper that you are supposed now to order for more stock to replenish what has been used.
Yes.
Muchere, do you have another question?
No, that is what I wanted to understand.
Yes.
Reorder, that is the reorder level, reorder process, yes. I think I've understood that, yes.
Thank you very much. Is there any other question on what we have covered? If not, we want to end and, God willing, meet next Friday. As I said, sponsors of CPSM, they will pick up training program from chairman. From very soon, we will announce after we have covered this topic. Muchele, maybe you mute so that they have also asked us to, they have attended severally, twice or thrice, without announcing that they are attending. And I don't know whether Leah Hartley is attending today. Sister Leah, are you there? But when they attended, their assessment is that they want more practical and participatory participants involved, or participatory approach, so that and that is what we are designing. As we move forward, you'll see things a bit different from normal lecturing, and I want to appreciate you for attending. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. for the great interactive session. And I'm sure we are moving on well in the right direction. We will get somewhere. This is really a project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
And as you say, I had also suggested it is good if we can have practicals. It will be good.
That's better.
Uh, Christine, I see Christine has her hands raised. You can just unmute and speak.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for the session.
Okay. So I don't know if Daktari is still in the session, but judging from the feedback we've been getting from both members in attendance and the surveys we've been doing, we are looking forward to taking these trainings to a different kind of experience. And I'm sure I'm sure you're not even ready for that. So I'm just urging all of you to be patient. We're working on that. We want to make sure that it goes beyond just talking about things so that we're able to even practice, like put all these things that we're doing into practice, form manageable groups and such kind of arrangements. So this is just something that we're looking into. And once it is mature, we can be able to engage you again, like we did with the surveys. And we appreciate each one of you who was able to participate, because from the feedback itself, it showed that you have interest and you want more of these. So we really appreciate that. So without wasting much of your time, I see much time has been spent. I'd just urge all of you to make sure that you have signed the attendance register before you leave. I'm having a bit of a cold today, but I'm sure you can all hear me loud and clear. So I want to appreciate all of you. In the absentia of Daktari, I'm sure we can just give him a round of applause the virtual way. He'll see it through the recorded version. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for attending and for the interactive session we've had today. I also want to let's also appreciate us for the good time we've had. Let me appreciate all of you as well. And we'll see you in the next training. That would be the second last or the last before certificates are issued. So you're free to leave. Only remember to sign the attendance. It won't be distributed after the training. So just make sure you've signed it before you leave. And have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too, Diana. Enjoy your Easter, good Easter holidays.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Have a blessed celebrations. We are celebrating till Tuesday. Christine, you still have your hands raised. Do you have something to say?
Yes, sorry, I wanted to ask about the attendance.
Oh, I shared it in the chat section. Let me just reshare it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so there's the attendance.
Okay.